We're telling Ukraine they have very valuable rare earth.
Donald Trump wants to make a deal with Ukraine.
We want what we put up to go in terms of a guarantee. We want a guarantee.
In return for keeping up its support in the war against Russia, Ukraine should supply the US with so-called rare earths. But what are rare earths? Why does the US want Ukraine's supplies? And what incentives could Trump offer in return? The US has been a lifeline for Ukraine since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, sending billions of dollars worth of aid. But in the run-up to the election, Trump set a different tone.
So when he was on the campaign trail, Trump said he'd end the war overnight. He said he'd come to a quick deal, finish the war, bring peace to Ukraine. But comments from the president and his administration since inauguration have reflected the difficulty of achieving that. Russia wants to subjugate Ukraine. Russia wants to control Ukraine. And while Trump wants a deal, I don't think he wants to do a bad deal. And so his shifting tone reflects that he's looking for ways to support Ukraine.
They're going to secure what we're giving them with their rare earth and other things.
In the past, he's shown a transactional urge in dealings with other countries. During his first term with Afghanistan, he was talking about using that country's mineral wealth, extracting that, getting the money from it, and using that to help to fund the war there.
Rare earths are a group of elements widely used in production of electric vehicles, cell phones and other electronics, as well as some which are critical to US defense infrastructure.
Ukraine says it has the largest reserves in Europe of lithium and titanium. Titanium is particularly important in aircraft manufacture. Much of the production of titanium is controlled by China, and so the Trump administration is particularly interested in diversifying its supplies of titanium in case of a trade war with China.
The original idea for this plan doesn't lie with Trump, but with Ukraine itself.
Ukrainian President Zelensky actually presented this idea as part of his, what he called his victory plan, when he came to see US officials from the Biden administration, but also then presidential candidate Trump in September in the US. The main aim for Zelensky is to retain US military support for Ukraine by appealing to Trump's love of deal-making.
Я йому казав, що окей, ми тільки будемо відкриті. Ми відкриті, щоб заходили інвестиції американських компаній і з задоволенням.
But there's a problem.
So while there are reserves across the country of these elements, these minerals, some of the largest deposits are in occupied territory occupied by Russia or under threat by Russia. Even if there is a ceasefire, it would require Ukraine to take these areas back. So there are big questions as to how Ukraine, the US, would actually get access to these deposits, even though they are inside the internationally recognized borders of Ukraine.
Securing an end to the conflict was never going to be easy. But as fighting rages on, Trump seems to be seeking a strategy that balances supporting Ukraine while seeking a way to cut the cost for the US.
Russia's military is advancing slowly but steadily in eastern Ukraine. And so any deal for Russia to stop the war would probably end up weakening Ukraine, be a bad deal for Ukraine, and it could potentially make President Trump look like a bad deal maker, a weak deal maker, which I think is something that he is certainly keen to avoid. So by suggesting something like this, it indicates that he's perhaps looking for a different approach, for a transactional approach that will allow him to continue the aid to Ukraine, to keep strengthening Ukraine while searching for a deal.